Wait.
What do you
Please. I'm begging
What
you.
do you mean?
Why are we
Ah,
defending first? Oh my god.
again.
They have
We
a.
have a brimstone and a
That's
sage.
what it is. If we fucking attack first, we'll be set up right.
Excuse me.
Like, let us be down bad on attack first. Even though we were up on fucking defense. That's.
Closet without a light shield.
I hate it
Crazy.
here with a passion.
Crazy.
I have a love-hate relationship with this game, Valorant. If you've ever heard the saying, or at least I experienced the saying that you to love something is to also hate it in some regard. That's never been more true with me when it comes to this game. It's a shooter, right? As you can obviously tell. But it's a little bit different than something traditional like COD. And if you haven't heard of Valorant, I guess it's called a tactical shooter, where a lot of the properties are quite different. But without getting too much into like the history of the game and the specifics and whatnot, it is one of the many stressors that 2020 brought, at least for me in my life. And the reason why I say that is because I am a very competitive person by nature. I kind of just like to win. Nah, I wouldn't say all the time, because I do acknowledge the what do I say? The knowledge that comes from losing in certain regards. Like, you can't always win. It's a given in life. You're not always going to get what you want. You're not always going to be the number one superstar on whatever aspect of what you're doing, whether it's video games, business, etc., etc. But this game right here has definitely caused me to act out of character a few times, I would say. And it's because it's so different than what I'm used to, and I feel like a lot of what this game comes down to is luck. And while that's usually what video games come down to a majority of the time, it really has to do with how well, I guess, your luck is that day. At least for people like me who are in, I guess the general population, let's say. Those who, don't really try to take this game or take their experience with this game to the next level. And if for a time I actually had uninstalled this game because it got to the point where not only was I frustrated with the game, but I was also frustrated with the people playing the game. And to put it into perspective, let's say, well, I'll explain what happened. So I was with a friend, and we were playing, just the two of us. But this game, as you can probably see, is consisting of a team of 5, and so there was 2 of us and 3 other people who were somewhere in the United States. I think California specifically. But it's essentially a 2 against 3 is what we like to refer to it as. And the reason why I say that is because there are things in this game that your teammates can do that physically harm you, like, take down your little health bar that you can see in the lower right, or lower left, my bad, next to my little abilities. And for some reason, towards the end of one of our games, where we were obviously gonna lose, but we just tried to win, because who wants to give up that easily? My team decides to trap me in a corner and essentially grief me, which is, to put into layman terms, if you're working on a group project with 5 people, you and your best friend, and then 3 of them decide to say, you know what, hey, we're just gonna put random memes in the slides or in the video or whatever, instead of the actual work, and you just lose your shit because you and your partner did everything that you could in order to actually, get the project done, which is what I would expect someone to do. But that was honestly the last straw for me. And so why I say I have a love-hate relationship with this game is because it is a very, very competitive game. And once again, I'm a very competitive person by nature. But when things like that just happen, and they happen quite frequently, you would be surprised how many people, and that's a video I'll get into later, with like how toxic gaming communities can be, especially when it comes to things like this that are more team oriented, both toxicity from the people you're playing against and the people who you're playing with. But there is for sure a lot of toxicity in this game specifically. You have ego trip or power trips and ego battles. You have people who feel as though they're the best player in the world and they deserve to be on the center stage for all their accomplishments, when it was really just a game with people who are in their same sort of bracket of ability. But they're like, oh, I can do this better than you. Or sometimes you'll just get name called, and so I don't get demonetized, or any future possibility of getting demonetized. Let's just say there are a few choice words that the individuals in this game specifically like to throw out that typically end in an A or an ER. If you wink wink, hint hint, nod nod, I think we all know what I'm talking about. But it's just it's frustrating to just have people who don't have the same goal in mind, when I'm a very goal-oriented person. And it feels as though that for a point in time that this game was kind of taking over my life, because up until a few months ago, I'd only had maybe this game, Valorant, and maybe 2 or 3 others. League, that I made a video on where I spent like $2,000, but I'll link that at the end of the video, so you can go check that out if you haven't. But point is, I had a rotation of like 2 to 3 games, and once something becomes sort of an everyday occurrence for you, especially with the whole pandemic going on, once everyday occurrences like this that you go through playing games with your friends, and when those start to upset you, it's kind of like, okay, well, I can't have one nice thing in the world. Who doesn't like having at least one nice thing in the world? Because especially with the way last year is going, thank God it's over. Who likes dealing with that 24/7? But Valorant is, I'm not the best player. I'll put that into perspective now. But I feel as though with the ability for voice chat, which is between where you can obviously talk to teammates via pressing a single button, so you can communicate with where enemies are, where you're gonna go, etc., all that good stuff. You open a lot of doors for people to show their true colors, especially since they are typically individuals who you can't see unless for some reason they add you on social media. For I don't know why you would put that in public, or not to random people. I don't know why you would do that, but it's what is it called? It's just the fact that they're faceless is what I'm trying to say. Is that they know that they're faceless. If you ran into them on the street, you would never know it was them, because come on, who's gonna remember an annoying kid from a game they played like a week ago? That's unless that person really upset you, which in some cases has happened. People have hunted down in other individuals, but that's a different case. Who's gonna remember that? But I had to release myself from the shackles of Valorant and FPS shooters for a while, because it just wasn't healthy, and I saw how badly it was taking over my life. And unfortunately, I reinstalled the game because my friends play it quite frequently, and luckily they're decent. And I do have my games where I pop off, I do my little dancey dance every once and again. But it's a really tough time, especially when you're not that good at the game like I am. You just kind of want to get better, but you have people who inhibit you from doing so constantly. Almost every other game, I'll be nice, and it's not a fun thing. But if there's one thing to take away from this video, and it's a shorter video, is to just, if there's something holding you back or something that's just irritating you, it's really just better to let it go. And it may come from something that you love, like I do, like playing video games, or maybe something if you're, let's take knitting for example. If you can't get like the right, what is knitting? Not what is knitting, but if you can't get like the right stitch or something, just take a break, maybe come back to it. If you can't finish it, then oh well, you tried your best, and then no one can knock you for that. But yeah, just take your time with things and step away from those aspects of life that irritate you from time to time, because it's not gonna end well if you don't. But that's all. I just want to remind you guys that you should like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be updating another video pretty soon. Actually, I'm gonna try to knock out at least 2 to 3 videos this week. A podcast episode may be coming, but we shall see. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.